As we tune into these brain waves or these states of being, once again, we have our delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma brain waves and their various functions. And one way of describing the process that I briefly mentioned earlier was this going from the normal waking beta state into alpha and then theta. And if we fall asleep or get very relaxed, perhaps delta. And if we bring our awareness into higher consciousness, then the gamma state perhaps may emerge. And the significance of all this and what all these states do and why go through these states when we're, say, in a internalized process or going through the brainwaves in a conscious way in, say, a meditative practice, why that's useful is that we have access to these layers of our consciousness. And it's almost like if we were only going to be in beta all the time, it's like driving a car in first gear and stepping on the gas all the way and not realizing that we can switch gears. This is what Joe Dispenza says. It's a simple analogy for why we are oftentimes challenged or finding ourselves in need of greater structure or balance, whatever it is, that as we tune into these different waves or states of being, that this gives us insight into how we respond to the world. So going from beta is often challenging for the first reason that a lot of us find ourselves at times in what's called high beta. And this is sort of the intense, high functioning, anxious state that the world often finds itself in, where there's just the 24/7 go, always responding to notifications and etc., being in that state all the time. That's the high beta. And this sort of narrow focus on this rushing effect that we believe is helpful in some way, the busy bee. And that the busy bee is like one characteristic or one aspect of a more effective whole, and that it's not to say that the other ones are better, it's that just they all work together. But if only one is, there's only that one, then the other ones get crowded out, so to speak, by those brainwaves. And it's almost like this is kind of like an addicting space of a negative state in many ways, that for some of us, when there's enough positive emotion, enough positive stress, let's say, we can sustain it. And at the same time, more or less, we always have to find that rejuvenation and that sense of calm. Because as like, even as like high functioning people, there's a time for that peak performance or that elevated expression of awareness as this very high vibrational, very quick sort of intense energy. And at the same time, to sustain that while maintaining the normal level of stress hormones in the body is very important. So this can be accomplished in a way where our high beta state is brought into a normal beta state, and we're still as effective as we would be, we're just more relaxed. So that's the first thing with the beta awareness. That's everybody's waking state of consciousness. As we internalize our awareness, generally, let's just say in a meditative practice or just laying down when we go to sleep, whatever it is, there's this initial experience of you have thoughts, you have this mind that is thinking, and it just does that. And that is sort of the process of having the internal awareness of what beta state is, that it in many ways is this ongoing thinking mind, the conscious mind. And as we get relaxed and still the body, we move into the alpha state, which can still, once again, be something that we're alert of in the world, and at the same time, it's a very restful, very relaxed kind of wakefulness. And this is where we start to move from the conscious mind into the unconscious mind, tuning into perhaps deeper layers of our thoughts rather than just what we were just doing, what we're thinking about having for lunch, or what that person said, or what we have to do. It's the deeper connection to the patterns and the underlying cogs of our consciousness, and tuning into perhaps deeper memories or things that are not directly on the surface. And once again, when we were talking about the nervous system, the peripheral and the central nervous system, you can describe this as kind of the first step of moving away from being on the surface of the body and moving into the central nervous system, the spine and the brain, for regeneration and healing. So the next step in that process is going from that alpha state of relaxation into the theta state of deep relaxation. And this, once again, is perhaps when we're asleep and dreaming, or very relaxed and still awake. And if we're doing this, once again, say with a meditative practice and the spine is upright, this is important because when we're asleep, that energy from the theta state goes into relaxing the body, and then the mind goes into the subconscious, and then we generally fall asleep and go into delta. And in keeping the spine upright, the energy flow of the spine is now, rather than being dispersed throughout the entire body, it's inclined to move upward in the spine and then into the brain. And as we experience this deeper energy flow while in deep relaxation, it's this experience of being aware of all the energy that was once on the surface of the body now being centered within us. And so this process of centering ourselves is not only relaxation, it's also highly energizing, because we're bringing all of the energy that we were using for whatever in infinite directions, and we're bringing it centrally into our spine and our brain. And this has a direct experience just if you close your eyes and focus your awareness on your spine, and not just the physical spine, but almost like there's this column of light, and that the spine is what's holding the body up, and at the same time it's not just the muscles. Once again, it's the energy, it's this core flow within you that is keeping you upright. So as you sit still and practice sitting still with your eyes closed, that you can tune into that breath and tune into the flow of the breath as it moves in the spine, and then from there be aware of the spine itself as a place of deep power and energy that is nourished when we close our eyes and relax our body and release our thoughts. And that's the first step of bringing ourselves into this state of deep and full rejuvenation. So once again, that's the theta state, the brainwave of theta. And I'll just say a little bit about gamma, that the gamma state from here is moving from this intense and relaxed peace, and as that energy starts to concentrate and internalize, the more we relax, the more all of our cells get accustomed to not having to work as hard because we are fully relaxed. That energy trickles like rivers flowing to the ocean, that ocean being the main river being the spine, and then the ocean being the brain. And that the brain then, when all of that energy has been released and freed from the external expressions, then we can use it once again with that vertical spine, with our awareness intact, so to speak. Then the brain starts to exhibit this deep harmonic resonance, which it already is doing all the time. It's not that you need to only seek out the gamma state or anything like that. It's just the high state of consciousness that where we perceive our connection to the whole on much deeper and deeper levels, and it's potentially infinite in terms of our ability to experience what the gamma state is. And I would just describe it as a profound bliss for now.